Welcome to the Sentimental Salvage and Design page. I'm Melissa. I am the owner and creator and doer of all the things here. We're going to be using Fusion's Fresco today, and we're going to be working on these little metal letters. So these I found them at a thrift store quite a while ago. Okay, so these, like I said, are metal letters. And we're just going to work on one of them, I think, for now. We're going to be using Fusion's Fresco. So it comes in these bags. It is a powdered paint additive, and it'll give you all kinds of aged, weathered, rustic texture. I take it out of the bags, and I bought this glass jar at the dollar store. And this works really good to store it in, so you're not digging in this bag all the time. And this mixes with any paint. So we're gonna mix some up first. And I'm going to use DIY paint in both Old 57, which is a really nice bright turquoise color, and Summer Crush, which is that nice deep rich orange. I thought I had a spoon here, but I do not, so I'm just gonna pour. And just gonna start with about 3/4 of a scoop. And we're gonna mix that in. The more powder you add, the thicker obviously it's going to be. I'm trying to kind of smush it out so I don't get any of these little white lumps. Okay, that's gonna work good. Just gonna pop that lid on there. I'm gonna mix up some of this one too, just so I have them both ready. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. DIY paint is pretty thick to start with. And if you're good and patient, you can just leave it out in the air to dry a little bit, because the clay base in DIY paint will help you create texture. But this is a good quick way to all right. So I'm just going to use one of my, this is a Klingon, the R12. It's round and it's got a flat end. These work really well for pouncing on this product. I'm gonna grab another one for the other color. And the cloth, there it is. Okay. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pounce this on. And see how it's giving me those peaks? That's what you want. This is just step one. These are gonna look a lot different. They're going to be beautiful. What I'm going to do is I want to kind of flatten these peaks a little bit. And I'm going to use just this little spatula. And how I'm going to do this, I'm going to just mist it with water so it doesn't stick. And I'm just lightly going to flatten. So I'll bring this up so you can see. hopefully. This is hard to hold. Okay, so it's misted with water, and you see these peaks. I'm just gonna lightly, whoops, that was not lightly enough. But that's okay. If I can get this to, see, it kind of flattens it out a little bit. That is step one. So we used Fusion's Fresco paint additive. And we are gonna be base coat. So I'm using DIY Paints Weathered Wood. And I'm just gonna go over the whole thing. So now what I want to do is I'm going to use, let's try it with just a wet wipe first and see. A little bit of wet distress. Kind of highlight those colors. Kind of use thinking a sponge would work a little bit better. See how that's leaving paint, the dark brown, the weathered wood is sitting down deep in the nooks and crannies, and we're wiping off. That weathered wood paint off the high points on the texture that we put on yesterday. So when you're doing something like this, if you're planning on distressing back like this, instead of just adding layers for your color variation, you gotta plan what color to mix with your Fresco or your salt wash or your DIY's paint frosting. You kind of got to plan that out ahead of time so that you know. Otherwise, you can just do the texture any color you want. It's a good way to use paint colors that you don't use very often. They're just kind of sitting there and you want to use them. You can mix that with your paint additive, and then it doesn't matter, right, what color it is, because you'll add your colors on top. And I'm still gonna do that because I'm gonna want to do a lot more layers in here. But I think that's looking pretty cool. And when it's dry, it gets kind of dull, but when we seal that, it's gonna brighten it up again. I'm going to seal these. I want to add some metallic. And of course, with turquoise and orange, I'm going to want to go with a copper metallic. So I am using Fusion's metallic copper. This is just an old paintbrush that's falling apart. And it works really well for this. So now I'm just going to stipple this on. And once I get more offloaded, then I will kind of dry brush a little bit. So putting this on like this too, in certain areas, I'm actually working it right down into the little nooks and crannies, which is okay. I actually kind of want a lot of this copper in there. Because then we're gonna go over it with some more kind of texture after too. So now basically we are at the stage where you're just going to keep adding. And this all comes down to your personal preference. And sometimes I'll start when I'm doing layers like this. Oh, my paintbrush is falling apart. There we go. There's a paint from the handle flying off and I didn't know where it was coming from. I'll start with one idea and then as I'm putting it on or as I'm implementing it, I'm not loving it. So then I'll just start doing something else. And that's okay. This is just it's a layered project that you just keep working with until it looks how you like it. I'm gonna try a little bit of, so I didn't seal in between this time because the metallics, you don't need to. The metallics are kind of like a sealer, so. Now that I've got that copper on there, as I wipe this back a bit, it's kind of bringing out that copper on those high points. So it's giving it that old, rusted metal look. This is probably one of my most, when I'm adding visual texture basically, that I will brush it on like this, and then I right away take a wet wipe and I'll go over it and I'll kind of blot it back. And it just softens it and you don't get those brush marks. But I don't know if you can see, that's looking like a really old rusty piece of metal now. I'm just going where the turquoise bits are and making those pop a little bit. Okay, one more coat of sealant on these babies. And I'm gonna kind of help it along with the water. So see how that gave you that kind of, how metal when it rusts, or when you get that patina on copper, you get that turquoisey kind of cool turquoisey color. I like that. So I'm just gonna give that a quick dry so it doesn't change on me. So just a little drop. I'm gonna go up here too. And kind of let that do its thing. Is it gonna move down this side too? Using a little more water than I wanted to. No, I think that's good. So you can see how that kind of gave it that authentic kind of patina. So I'm gonna leave that one alone. And now try to work on this one. One more coat of sealer, and I think these beauties are done. So here we go. All done. I think they look awesome. I don't know if you guys can see. I'll try to move it slow so it has time to focus. But see all the texture in there? They are metal. But all of that texture and both the physical and the visual texture, that's all done just using paint and Fusion's Fresco for the thickening agent. And not a lot of product was used on this. A couple tablespoons of Fresco and basically a couple tablespoons of paint, and boom, you're done. All right, well, I think I've kept you guys long enough. And if you have any questions regarding anything that I did here today, let me know. Everything's available on the website, sentimentalsalvage.ca. And if you have any questions, you can pop them in the comments or you can email me, sentimentalsalvage.ca. The email contact's on there and everything you need to know. All right, guys, thanks.